We don't care, anybody. We don't care anymore. Fucking Matt has left the planet. He's in outer space. Matty D. We are Agents of Aquarius. This is episode 11, recorded on 11/11/11, 2011/11. I am Jim Pine.
I am Matty D. Don't listen to
Dude,
those dates, but
bro.
I am in space, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, I could see you don't even have wires holding you up while you're like just kind of out there outside your ship right now. You're not sitting in a camping chair in front of a fucking banner. What are they called again? Tapestry.
No, it's not a tapestry. That's my ship. It's my ship.
I
And
mean, your ship.
I am here as a representative of Never a Straight Answer.
What's the name of your ship?
Oh, no, the organization.
Oh, never. What is that? What does that stand for?
Never a Straight Answer.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, what happened to the telemetry tapes for the greatest endeavor of mankind ever when we landed on the moon? Budget was tight that year, so we recorded over them. That's not a straight answer. That's a real answer that came from that company. It's like, you guys are full of fucking shit.
Holy fuck them, dude.
Yeah.
Dude,
and hey, who am I conversing with today? It's my man from They Live, Mr. Roddy Piper himself.
I can't remember how Rowdy Piper talked, but I do remember. I think he shouted a lot. Yeah, I'm from They Live. Whoa, real world. I see through it. Yes, They Live, and NASA. We're here today. We've reached the moment, everybody. It's happened. That's all you need to know.
All right, here we be. What's on the agenda today, Agent Pine?
Shout out to Pinelands Chiropractic for having the American coffee cup mug before it became a sign of terrorism. Shout out to Dr. Mark at Pinelands Chiropractic, my fucking homie from way back.
Hey, good shout out. I'll just jump into the game too.
Space
weather news,
everybody. The SWN.
As controversial as you want to be.
Fucking space, bro.
It is the fitting mug of the day, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, Matt went with themes, okay? Or maybe everything just aligned. Who really knows?
I always have this mug.
Yeah, dude.
But anywho.
What's the name of your ship? The USS what? What's that ship behind you's name?
It's the Double Down. It's the SS Double Down.
The USS Double D's, bro.
I'll leave the S out. Maybe it's got to be something better than that.
USS Double D, bro.
The SS. What's the SS stand for?
Is it? I thought it was USS. Like the one.
What does that stand for in the ships?
Underside.
Huh? I don't remember what it stands for. The USS, whatever.
United Space Station. No.
Yes.
If you're listening to this right now, you're like, what the fuck happened to these guys, dude? They usually come in squared away. These guys are.
We came in. We started having a really good conversation, and
rarely happens, but
the momentum is just kind of carried. But we should get on point. We should get a little focused. I am in space after all. I should take this serious.
Yeah, I mean, you're unlimited air right now. I mean, he's only got 13 minutes left, everyone. Shout out to Stanley Kubrick for having the balls to try to make up the answer, try to tell the truth. So shout out Stanley Kubrick. Speaking of space.
That was the second part of last week's show, and there's so much to talk about Stanley Kubrick, but
kind of funny tie-in back though with 2001 Space Odyssey. You're in space, Stanley Kubrick. Fuck, dude. Okay, so yeah, we were talking before this started, and I'd never heard of this thing. I heard of the thing, but I didn't hear the extra part. And I've heard of fight or flight. We've all heard of fight or flight. Oh, it's a reaction, fight or flight.
Nowadays there's more to it.
Go ahead.
The other F's, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. It's a perspective in psychology. You could take it or leave it however you want. If the advice, or if what we're talking about makes sense to you, great. Use it to your benefit. If it doesn't make sense to you, whatever, leave it. Those four descriptions of our behavior: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn are basically rooted in your early psychology as a child. When things happen to us, when traumatic things happen to us in our childhood, and again, this is a psychological perspective, take it or leave it if you don't like it. Things that happen to us in our childhood when we didn't have coping mechanisms, they stay with us. And then you might be in a seemingly ordinary circumstance, just moving through the world, and all of a sudden you might be really angry, you might be really freaked out and want to run. You fall into these 4 behavior types, these 4 Fs. And ultimately it's rooted in unprocessed childhood emotion in a nutshell. So we got talking about, he said fight or flight to me. I was like, dude, there's so much more than fight or flight nowadays. I never heard this stuff before, but it's come into my orbit. It's come into my orbit, into my world more recently. It's like there's a lot of sensible thinking, it seems like, coming out of psychology land, as opposed to everything's a dick, like Freud says, or everything is actually, you know what? Now I think about it, who's
Everything
Carl
is a
Jung
dick.
put everything on childhood too. It's like Freud was like everything is dick related, and for Jung is childhood related. So maybe this is some spin-off of Jungian psychology, but there's sense behind it too.
Well, that's just a snippet though. And fuck some of these fucking guys, to be honest with you. Carl fucking Jung. All right. I'm just realizing that you're saying the 4 Fs, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when I put my glasses on, I start to realize they're the 4 Fs of fear, which is another F. I'm not trying to say they're the 5 Fs. They're the 4 Fs of fear. When you run into fear, and they say, what's the worst thing? Fear, fear itself.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
The only thing we have to, wow, man, I'm going to be really smart right now, and I don't remember the old fear thing. The only thing to fear is fear itself.
Wrestler with glasses on.
So the only thing to fear is fear itself, right?
Yeah.
That idea, very powerful idea. That's why, because that fear, what you have to fear is fear itself. It's because then you go into the 4 Fs.
Right. Yeah. The whole reason you go into those 4 Fs is because something traumatized you, something that you were afraid of. You're relating to fear.
You're not acting out of love.
Not acting out of love.
You're acting out of fear. And it's not that there's a binary, it's only fear or love, but there are newer ways of thinking to think you can almost break all things down into these 2 groups to like see how are you working right now? Like, are you working from this or from that? Are you working from a perspective of fear, or are you working from a perspective of love and abundance?
Bro, that's so, I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in because it's so great you say it like that. It used to be that people would really easily argue against these 2 things, fear and love. It's like, what are you even talking about? There's like a whole spectrum of shit between love and fear. There's so much going on. But really, if you pick your starting point as love or fear, this one, you probably lead to some good results. But this one, when you come from fear, you go into one of those 4 Fs. And then from those 4 Fs, you spin off into something else. And that spins off into something else. So all the spectrum is still there. We're just identifying a starting point for this mentality. So don't argue against the simplicity of coming from love or fear. The spectrum follows. It just starts at one of those points.
Okay. Well, in this consciousness level we're at, in this 3rd dimensional consciousness experience called life, in that level, it seems that you can kind of take things down to the most basic principle of love and fear and find not hate. It's not love or hate. That's what that's how they get you, dude. That's how the system gets you. And they teach you love or hate. It has nothing to do with hate. It's fear. That's the problem, because that's when we make mistakes. A lot of mistakes happen when you come out of fear because you just start reacting. You're not from a place of authority. You're not from a place with abundance. You start making all these, sometimes they'll save your life reactions. It's fine. There's a reason we have it, but it needs to be a tool that you use, not the tool. You could be
bear jumps out of the woods. Yeah, you better be afraid and run. But not at the grocery store,
Too many people are locked into that fear state, and that's what they're operating from. Like at most times, it just people are operating from the fear a lot of times, and it's because they don't understand abundance. They don't understand there's different dimensions of this thing that can then permeate themselves down to this lower frequency, this third dimension. And we're the great manifestors of the universe that aren't just monkeys on a planet. You know, if we're just monkeys on a planet that evolved, and you're going to tell me we figured out and get into fucking space. So you're telling me the monkey we sent into space before we sent people into space, if we sent anyone there, you're going to tell me that monkey can eventually build the rocket he went up in?
That's the theory. That's the theory. Let's.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
fuck off. Dude, but this is a big factor because right now, through the division that's been done with media, through the division that's being done right now in the world, where if we can, the divide and conquer strategy to keep the people in numbers down and powerless is to keep them in a state of fear, not from a state of love. And that's what's really hard when you start to look at the world, and it really hurts your heart, man. It hurts my heart when I come from that place of love and then look at everything. I'm like, how do we switch all of it? Like, Jesus Christ, I mean, think of, like, when they put a movie out, they do like an advertising campaign.
Yeah.
Like, to let everybody know about the movie. Think of the budgets on these advertising campaigns they do for fear. Like, they're doing,
right, because that's so they're broadcasting anything that people will be afraid of, typically
yes.
results in us being divided.
Yes.
And a lot of money is going into it.
Yeah.
There was the author who's in our fan club, I'm in hers, is what I mean to say, who said the American mind is the most valuable real estate in the world, because so much money gets pumped into our perception management, our narrative, that how we see the world. You want to talk about a price tag? Talk to me about that price tag, because I'm with you. I bet it's big.
And that's all fifth dimensional warfare. That's the warfare on the mind. And that's what it's been a long plan since the Nazis changed their names. They went bankrupt and changed their names to the fucking Central Intelligence Agency. And since then, they've been programming the United States people to give up their pews and just, like, whatever they can do they want this land, and they put us in a state of fear through an incredible advertising campaign. It's really funny, like, oh, how much are we spending on the budget for the movie, the new Spider-Man? It's like, how much are we going to spend on the COVID? I fucking said it, Cupid, whatever, dude. How much is, like, so they literally, the way that they plan to put movies out, they're doing budgets and planning for getting the narratives out. So all those news stations are saying the same thing. Everything's being pushed. Information A is about to be leaked. All right, information C, leak it now. And then, everybody becomes divided because some idiot goes and does something somewhere. If it's pushing buttons and shooting missiles, or if it's somebody with doing something stupid with guns, or if it's
the one Nazi at the trucker rally in Canada who had his fucking flag, and like, yeah, these other 50,000 people there with him. Not that some Nazi snuck in there, or some Fed more likely snuck in there with a Nazi flag, and suddenly one asshole makes, gives that propaganda machine avenue to discredit the 50,000 people instead of the one idiot.
This is where we're at. This is what you're watching, and it's not just here. They've just really fucking nailed it here. I mean, each country has to be dealt with differently because of the way those countries are designed. Like, what you do here, you don't have to do in China because they've already eliminated most of their fucking rights.
Yeah.
What in France has to do is different than it's going to happen here because they have a different news. They've had a different, like, we're our own unique thing over here in a certain sense. Canada is very similar. They lack some of the parts of the operations that we have as a government, or what part of our government would have is the Constitution, but that's not really part of the new government. That's just the U.S. Or the United States, that corporation, the one made in 1881. Like, very different. And that one here, they're doing their best. They're keeping us in a state of fear, keeping us fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. The freeze and fawn I'd never heard before. That was very interesting. Um,
Different reactions to unprocessed trauma from your childhood. That's what those four things are.
you know what's crazy? I guess I kind of pictured fight, flight when it was those two. I
Yeah.
pictured freeze as flight, which is weird because flight means run
Hmm.
away.
Yeah.
But to me, fight mean or flight meant like anything that's not fight. Like flight meant like
Okay. Yeah.
freezing
Everything
or
else.
anything. But it makes more sense because now I have a different F, freeze and fawn.
Yeah.
Um,
And these are involuntary reactions, remember, too. Like if
yeah.
you just suddenly get full of rage and you start fucking blowing your top, that you could do that sometimes and even observe yourself doing it. It's an involuntary reaction, same as like the freeze. Like when a situation happens, no one ever thinks, oh, if I just freeze, maybe a fucking bear, I don't know,
Well,
play
no,
dead. But in
it's
general, it's like, you don't choose to do this stuff. These are involuntary reactions. This is why so many problems happen in the world, because people just freak the fuck out and do the wrong thing because they fell back into some flashback from their childhood where they didn't have coping mechanisms, and suddenly as an adult you're lacking a coping mechanism. Dumb shit happens.
yeah. When you're not operating from a place with authority, which happens a lot in childhood, right? When you're not
Yeah,
operating
man.
from a place of and adulthood, let's be honest. But when you have authority over your life, you're really not operating with these because you now have operating from a state of consciousness
Mm-hmm.
and awareness. And now you're out of fight, flight, freeze, or fun. You may choose fight, or you may choose flight, or you may choose freeze, but you're choosing it instead of reacting with it, which is
Right,
totally
yeah.
different. It's a conscious action.
Oh yeah, if I see trouble coming and I choose to run, I'm not gonna regret that action.
No,
You know,
but
that's different business.
that's taking
um
authority. It's
Fuck yeah, I'm gonna get the fuck out of there.
yeah,
Well,
that's
what
just
was
taking authority.
we had this conversation earlier had kind of jumped into a fantastic book from the 90s, and it had some parallels to what we're talking about. um, Celestine Prophecy. There was four things that were similar. I don't think I would call them the same as these four F's, these reactions to whatever. We already went through that. There was another way of scoping out sort of another dimension of our behavior when we're not doing well, as opposed to instead of just falling into reaction. These were more like um, tools people use to get through in the world, but they were kind of dirty
There are
or
control
not
dramas,
good tools. Control dramas. Yeah, thank you.
but control dramas are going to link up to the four F's because they kind of come, they don't come from a state of love. They come from a state of fear. The control dramas, in that book you're talking about, the Celestine Prophecy, I highly recommend it to everyone. My daughter read it. She absolutely loved it. And it's an incredible book. In there, they had these four control dramas, and they were the intimidator, the interrogator, the aloof, and poor me. Not the aloof, and poor me. So you have intimidator, interrogator, aloof, and poor me. And these are four things the way people operate from. And they do it as a place of power. A lot of the times, me and old Matty would describe it as like energy vampires. Okay. What they do is the way they can gather energy and harvest that energy, and not coming from a state of love, not coming from a state of abundance. Obviously, if you're harvesting from other people, you're missing the abundance part because you think you have to go get it and take it from somebody else, which is completely the sixth F. That's fucked. And so when we were talking about these four F's, that may, it's like, oh man, there's these four control dramas that are like in that same binder of like, oh, these are all reactions. Like the intimidator, interrogator, aloof, and poor me are all reactions
Mm-hmm.
to not operating with authority, not operating from a place of power.
Or even
Um,
from your real self. It's just as simple as that.
well, they're layers. They're layers that become our personality, is what it really is. That you become that you, and we all know people that are all four of these things, and you'll see people that operate, and it's not that they just operate in one. in different situations and in different environments, people will operate in different aspects of this when they're operating from the negative. And when I mean negative, I mean from like the lower vibrational operating point, meaning you're not acting, you're reacting. This is all your reactions. These are your base programming that all come from your your subconscious. All these things. This is like this is what makes our personalities up, our fucking fucked up, quirky
No, fly
things.
by jets. Sorry. Never mind. I'm in space. I don't hear anything.
Jets are allowed to be in space. They're just near you. Guys, that was outer space jets, everybody.
Yeah, they flew right over my spaceship. That was weird.
Yeah, for all you flat earthers out there that say Earth is not real, that there's no pictures from space, I will right now state this podcast is proof. Because I see Matt and I see the rings of Saturn right behind him. So I know that's where he's at. And you see me, I'm just chilling, bro. I'm just in a nebula. I'm over
Yeah, man.
here.
Hey, and for all you
nebula.
listening, just rest assured we will have the telemetry situational data posted in the behind the paywall.
Yeah, dude, my GPS coordinates. You can come join me on the right amount of mushrooms. Okay, so we're on the intimidator and terror. So it just reminded me of this, like it's another reaction. It's another way that people just start letting things happen, and they operate from these places. The intimidator, it's obvious, with the intimidators, that's the like a bully attitude.
Yeah.
But that's very similar to fight, the intimidator.
Yeah.
That's that fight, right? And then there's the interrogator, and that seems to me like it could be fight, but the interrogator could also be like fawn.
Yeah, in a way, but the interrogation style of a fawn would be different than the interrogation style of a fighter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's like we're not saying they line up 1-to-1, but it was like, oh, these things have these aspects of the 4Fs. Because these are all like the 4Fs are what propel you into becoming the intimidator or the interrogator. Aloof. Do you want to describe the aloof?
Well, here, let me back up 1 second. Let's think about these. The 4Fs are a reactionary mode people would go into, and it's a fear-based reaction. These, rather than some behavioral mode someone would fall into, these 4, what do you call them from the Celestine prophecy? The 4 what?
Control dramas.
These 4 control dramas are a learned experience that comes from the fear side of the spectrum. Like, this is a method of going through the world to get what you want, and you will apply this skill you develop when you feel you need to. You could be a pretty normal person most of the time. All of a sudden, you become an interrogator. And but these are learned methods of behavior that come from that fear spectrum. These don't come from the love side, is what I'm trying to get clear on this. Same as those reactionary 4Fs come from the fear side. This is the same thing, and obviously that's why we're trying to tie them together. But I just think it's important to really be clear on that. One is a reaction, and one is kind of a creative behavior.
I think they're both. I think it's you learn through creative behaviors how to use each of these to succeed in what you're trying to do. And that's feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
Because you're in a state of fear.
And so ironically,
you want to safe or secure, so you'll intimidate people, interrogate people, aloof. And I'm realizing I'm kind of been in the aloof recently. Like I'm realizing it just dawned on me. Like I looked up aloof. I was like, let me just look at the exact words of what aloof means, not what I think it means.
Yeah. And what'd you find?
Aloof, like dictionary style. Gotta take the glasses off because I'm reading Real World here. Not
says obey otherwise.
Not friendly or forthcoming. Cool and distant.
Well, like, now this is you recently, huh? This is not one of your go-to methods at dealing with the world, or is it?
It's always been a go-to because I'm more or less like I was raised as an only child, so it's always been my coping mechanism when you're alone.
Answer to boot.
seem cool, but I can be distant. Like I don't need anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all just a fucking,
Yeah, we all run those fronts in one way or another.
yeah. And I was just being aware that I was like, oh, I've been using the aloof and not really realizing. I'm just being I'm being protective of myself is what I feel like I thought I was doing.
Mm.
But maybe I'm just being aloof and that's the way I'm protecting myself. I'm not
Well,
sure.
I hope anyone
I'm gonna work
listening
with that.
would listen. So
Yeah. And then there's the poor me. We all know that one. That one
mm-hmm.
sucks. Because that one you get tricked into. And that's like fawning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, 100%. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know we could envision other types of poor me, like whatever, but
The poor me is the
it's
person that always has problems. Oh, you
yeah,
don't, oh
yeah.
man, you don't. They show up and they're telling you 10 problems that just happened. They're the person like, oh man, I went to the gas station and fucking guy was like yelling at me and fucking I ran out of gas. I didn't have money. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's fucking poor me. All of the life to fucking beating me down. Poor me. I fucking dude. I'm the part of the interrogator, no, the intimidator part of me. It's like, I'll hold you underwater.
Shit.
Well, I
Well,
think
you know,
it's
it's no
important to
wonder
be
you turn
honest.
off at some of this stuff because these are learned negative
Yes.
modes of dealing with the world, and the other ones are reactionary ways, negative ways of dealing with the world. It's like, you can think your way out of this. Is the thing. You don't have to be a tool to your own mind, your own emotions. This stuff, if you ever wonder in your head, man, how'd I lose my shit so hard? If you ever wonder in your head, how'd I handle that situation so poorly? Like I wasn't even myself. I was just there. When you have those thoughts, that's your cue. Like that's your cue. Do some work. Get yourself to the ashram, get yourself to a therapist, get yourself to a partner you could speak to. Make some moves, man, because I mean, it's almost as if no, it's not almost as if like the culture we live in is sick as fuck, and it encourages people. I think you're having some kind of space quake over there, Pine. You're shaking like crazy.
Oh, just a little turbulence.
Um,
Go into nature.
yeah, go into nature, do something,
Let God speak to you
read a book.
through the trees and the animals or whatever your nature, wherever you're at, whatever your nature exists as, the ocean or desert or whatever it is. Go there and let God speak to you. Let creation speak to you through the divine nature that we've been given around us, that it's healing, it's balancing, it's grounding. And sometimes the amazing nature, we'll call it, will deliver messages even to you through nature, or maybe just telepathically, and can really just change everything. And that's why so many people love going out into nature, and you never hear anybody go, "Oh, I went on nature."
No, bro, but I
The
love
fucking
that.
trees
I
suck.
love that. I live that. But sometimes you also need to hear someone wise tell you it's like, hey, here's how you're fucking up, and here's how you straighten it out. That might be your grandmother.
Sure.
You know,
Yes. Yes.
it's
And well,
like so. I believe in the method of going to nature to help the process. I just never myself personally, and I've been out in nature since fucking day one. Um, I just find that helps, but it doesn't. It didn't do it all for me. There were points in my life where I needed someone to my friends or anyone to be like, you messed that one up. You got to straighten out. Because then you start to do some reflection. Then you start to maybe you'll study up a little bit and find out how to help yourself. But nature helps.
there's a lot of tools for the job of when we're in a shitty state.
Yeah, man.
When you're
Yeah.
like when you're only operating from fear, or you're mainly operating from fear, you generally are in a place where you have a lot of, and this is something I kind of brought up to you, or it's been on my mind lately, or it's been coming out lately of me just thinking about addiction and addiction being like, I just part of the problem with the poor me, why it fucking drives me nuts, is because when I've experienced me being the poor me, it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
real. I'm just like, oh, that's fucking ugly. And that's where I think addiction falls, is into like that poor me. And it's I just don't like the victimhood of it, the whole idea. And I don't say that there isn't addiction or it's this thing, but I feel like people, there's layers to addiction,
Mm-hmm.
and it's more addiction instead of being the psychological disorder that they'd like to, I guess, name it, or that's what I think Western would call it, as some type of psychological disorder.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm
Sure
not down
seems
with
like
that.
it.
I'm not down with that. I think it's, yeah, it's manifesting as a psychological disorder, but the root of it is you have like some really, that's some, when you have deep addiction, you are attached to some really dark energy generally. That have, you have no self-preservation. And it's like, instead of being powerless to like, oh, this item, this thing, I'm so powerless too, I'll destroy my life over it. That sounds to me more like a possession. Like you're possessed by some type of dark entity. Some type of dark energy is attached to, because it's like you can't, like, we change every cell in our body every 7 years. Your
Mm-hmm.
your bones have different cells than they did 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're gonna tell me this psychological disorder can just attach you, nothing can change. It's just, you're stuck with it until death do us part. Like, I have trouble with that. I just don't. I think this is where Western medicine fails us, or Western psychology even fails us. Is in the, like, they just try to make it all like, well, yeah, but you just have an addiction, and it's like, no, this sounds like a possession.
Well, that's kind of the methodology of Western medicine, though. Keep you sick on medicine for the rest of your life till the day you die.
Yeah, and I'm not down with that.
Yeah.
I think
Now,
it. I think it
what's
could be a.
interesting though is, sorry, you finish that thought.
I think life can be a challenge at times. I think life can be so challenging that these things that you're addicted to, you have no control over. But that's, once again, it sounds like possession to me. That sounds like there's some type of energy possession here, because you're
Strong
not,
statement. I
it's
like it.
beyond, like, so you have no control. Okay, then who's in control? Oh, addiction's in control. Well, what's addiction then? Like, that's some, there must be, like, we've heard of Beelzebub and fucking all the different demons, Azrael, and
That was a great run. You froze up at the end, so I couldn't hear what you said. I hope the rest of the world did. Um,
yeah, well, when you start saying demons' names, I guess the fucking computer freezes.
look at that. Look at that. Hey, so you had said, like, hey, thanks, psychology. You told us you have an addiction, live with it. But when you go to a 12-step program, it always involves some kind of divine power to help you through the whole program so that you can be free of what is possessing you. Now, if that thing that's possessing you is a mental habit or a demon, what's the difference when the same method will free you from it? And that's another thing too. The beauty is you're railing against, like, are you stuck with this thing, even though your literal body changes every 7 years? From a psychological perspective, you might be, because Western medicine, we know it's to keep you sick for the rest of your life, paying for medication until the day you die. And while they fix our legs really good when they get broken, thank you. A lot of that Western allopathic medicine will do exactly as we described. But you're talking about addiction, and what was the method out of that? Like I said, the 12-step program there.
I'll tell you right now. I'll give you one word that takes you out of addiction.
One word.
Authority.
Ooh.
Authority. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, thank you,
Authority.
Roddy Piper.
Oh, addiction can't be stopped. It's in you forever. You're
Put the
always
fucking glasses on.
You're oh no. Dude, I'll tell you right now. No, addiction, uh, it's called having authority over your life. That's it. Because you're literally making the choice to not, well, okay, we'll pick drinking. You literally can't drink. We'll say you have to stop drinking because you're an alcoholic. I'm not saying being an alcoholic isn't a symptom that people are having, or symptom I've had or have or going to have. I'm not saying any of that. It's not a good thing. It's not a pretty thing. It can be really, but the more possessed that person is, it seems to me, the more like they have no control over their life. To me, that seems like a possession, bro. And I'm not going to just be like, oh, you're stuck for life with this. I think if you take authority over your life, it's now you own it. And that's not,
Mhm.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I drink and smoke weed. I'm all fine with the things I do. I'm not the one putting myself on a pedestal and saying I walk some spiritual path. I'm telling you, I'm agent of Aquarius, Matty D, and I'm here to just say my piece. It's that simple. But I mean, I think any rational person can weigh the impact of their habits on their life. Like, do you not maintain friendships and relationships? Do you have trouble with the law? Do you can you hold down a job? Things like that. I weigh out the impact of my habits on my life. I rationalize it in ways that work for me. I don't think the demons got their hooks in me, but I'm not going to stand here. I'm not going to engage in this conversation without being forthright. It's like, no, I'm not the one who abstains from these things, but I also don't feel demon possessed either.
Well, yeah, but hold on. I appreciate the candidness. I appreciate your openness, and that's important. And I will just say ditto to everything Matt said about myself. But I don't think that any of that matters. I think you can have this conversation. I think you can drink a beer and still talk about addiction. Like that's the problem. It's what did I recently saw? I saw or heard. Um, like who's the enemy? To find out who the enemy truly is, who can't you talk about? Like if you don't think you're being controlled in life, not to find the enemy. I'm sorry. If you don't think you're being controlled, what can't you talk about? And that's how you
Right.
know how you're being controlled. And
So
that's it.
we're
Like what words are not allowed to be talked? What
Well,
group
let's not
can't
spin
you
it
talk
off
about?
topic.
I'm not gonna,
In the
but
context of our conversation, we're talking about addiction, authority. We're talking about what
I'm
is.
just trying to say you can have a beer and talk about addiction. I think addiction is
Oh, all
not
right,
what
I
we're
got your
being
point.
presented. I think we're being presented something the same as a lot of other Western psychology, where you become the victim and now this is your thing. You're this.
Yeah,
You're labeled
everybody
that.
gets a condition.
Yeah,
We
and
all
that's what
get our own special condition. There's so many out there. There's one for fucking everyone. It seems like.
they use the power of words to then bind you and create victimhood, which now puts you in the four F's because you're not from a place of love when you're in victimhood, which then puts you into the other four control dramas from the Celestine prophecy. And you're going to not put you in those, but you're going to start operating from those. And then you lack authority in your life. We've kind of said now, if you're operating from fear, you're lacking authority in your life. You're not having authority over your decisions. You're lacking awareness. Uh you're just reacting to the world, and that's no place to be. That's the subconscious. And I think that's more where addiction is. I think addiction is more tied to operating from fear, lacking authority, and I think it's some type of, and this is why in Western psychology they don't have place for this. There's no room for what I'm about to say next, but I think it's some type of possession, some type of energy possession from a lower vibrational frequency, and that's what I actually believe addiction is. And I'm not saying people don't suffer from addiction. I just think people become victims, and it's like, yeah, you are just a victim of a lower vibrational frequency, and which is now taking your authority. You've given your authority away and given it to this other thing. And that's my perspective.
Solid perspective, Agent Pine. A solid perspective. Were you and I talking earlier? We're dipping into this idea of like what masculine energy is well expressed.
Mm-hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
a woman facing addiction problems can tap into masculine energy and break through it. A man with addiction problems can tap into positive male energy, break through it. You probably can do the same thing with female energy in a different fashion. But
Well, you need
there's a couple
balance.
of dudes talking here, and we're relating to actual positive male energy, not guy energy, not patriarchy bullshit, but positive masculinity. And when you talk about authority, that's where we're talking. That's the direction we're going. You want to talk about authority? That's positive male energy.
Yeah. I mean, literally, you do have to operate with balance of both energies, not balance meaning 50-50, balance meaning whatever that balance is for each individual person. To have a balance of masculine and feminine, because now, now you can operate. Hopefully you're not just operating from fear. You're not just doing these things we just talked about. Operating with authority in your life, like you said, that positive masculine energy, which there is people, sorry to break the fucking news, not all masculine energy is toxic.
They know. They
know. When we operate like this is when we take back our lives. This is when we start or stop becoming victims. You start to live. Maybe now you can live in the world of love and with abundance. Imagine that. Masculinity can take you to love. People think love, you think femininity, but masculinity can take you to love,
And that's it, isn't it? That's all back to that choice. You want to live from fear, you want to live from love. Will you spontaneously fall into those fear-based reactions? You sure will. But can you get over it? Absolutely.
Bro, I could do episodes for hours about fear and love. I feel like this was about a decade ago in my life. This was like a huge driving principle that I was learning about, which then, it's so far, it's so much behind so many things. Me and you have talked on hours about this stuff.
And I put back at you too. It's like pine, fear, love, what about everything in between? We talked about it a lot, and I was pushing back, but it gets clear when you see that it doesn't have to be in a spectrum all at once. You can move through the spectrum from one state to another.
Yeah, because you see how you're reacting in the world, the 4Fs. You see what role you're playing in the control dramas in the 4Fs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see, this is all fear-based. Like we can literally put them all in the category. There's a folder with fear in it, and then we just can put all of those. And then we take addiction, and that also goes in the fear catalog too. Because you're not operating with love when you're coming from addiction.
Right.
Person operating with addiction in their life is not operating from love. You are in the fear category, which then you can look into the 4Fs. You can then look into how you're controlling the world and think you're controlling the world through your dramas. And I mean, I'd like everybody to be empowered. I'm no way attacking people that are facing any type of addictions or anything like that. I'm just operating and I'm just offering a different, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. I'm tired of looking at doctors and just being like, oh, well, the doctor said. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I've spent a couple of days here too. And I'm telling you, this is my opinion. That's it. The addiction thing, that's just my opinion. Maybe it's because I'm wearing the fucking glasses. I don't know.
That's you can see it. You can see through the shit.
It feels like
good to share your opinion, bro. Yeah, that's what this is. We're not the doctors. We're the two high school graduates who are talking shit on a podcast. Barely. And take it however you want it. We've been living on this world. We've had our eyes open to the extent that we can, and it helps to just speak about the bullshit you can see through. It helps us, and if it helps you listening, great. But take it or leave it. This is the lives of two people that you're sitting here listening to. Yeah, and take it or leave it.
I want to go back to high school graduate. Barely. Okay, everybody. Like, we don't think we're hot shit. Like, we barely graduated high school, dude. Me and Matt struggled to fucking graduate high school, dude. This was not an easy task. Not because we're dumb. It's just like we did not fit in the fucking system, bro.
For another episode. Yeah. Why did we struggle in our school system? That's a whole nother episode. It'll be fun to talk about, but
I just wanted that. I just wanted to. You did it earlier. You said you drink and smoke. Well, I'm doing that right now. I'm like, yo, dude, by the way, this all sounds like we're Johnny fucking PhD over here. I'm just saying, we're two dudes. This is our opinion. We're agents of Aquarius. We didn't sign up for this. This signed up, this is what we had to do. and we barely graduated high school.
I don't have any doctorate. I'm an agent of Aquarius. You can take it or leave it.
Think of that,
Take it.
motherfucker. Hey, kids out there, hold on. Kids out there, look, Matt's an astronaut and he barely graduated high school, everybody. See
What
that?
can you do?
He's in space, everybody. All right. So let's wrap this thing up with a you sent me a fucking thing, document.
Oh shit. I know what I sent you. That's yeah. Tell the world. Tell the world.
Break the news.
Break the news. This is a great little news article.
Break the news. Okay. I'll read this without the glasses on. NASA to demonstrate laser communications from space station. I will say it once again. NASA, guys, what Matt works for.
My boys, never a straight answer.
So Matt and his crew, they're going to demonstrate a laser communication from space. I don't even know what the fuck this means, but I'm going to read it. In 2023, NASA is sending a technology demonstrating. Oh, man. NASA.
You got this, buddy. You got this.
Sending a technology demonstration known as the Integrated LCRD, Low Earth Orbit User Modem, and Amplified Terminal. Jesus Christ, Jim. Do you see why I didn't graduate high school almost?
There's a public school education network right there.
Well, okay, so they're calling the LCRDs the Low Earth Orbit User Modem, and Amplifier Terminal. Also referring to it as Illuma, ILLUMA -T. Illuma T.
Illumity. It sounds like something conspiratorial, Agent Pine. What the fuck are they trying to say?
I know that I know there's been some breakups today in the video and the audio here, and there's been some lags where things might have drawn on. And when I said Illuma Te, there's no breakup. You're not missing the na in there, okay? You're not missing the na. It's Illuma Te.
No, check here. Look, our pal who posted that, where I saw it, his question was real simple. It's like, man, you guys at NASA, you called your project Illuminati. That's the name you went with, Illuminati. Are you? It sounds like a gag joke set to just light people up, to just blow up the internet with like Illuminati from the fucking 1776 Bavarians are out in space to get us. It's funny on so many levels, because one, it's like, really, you named your shit Illuminati, and if there is Illuminati, that's weirdly bold. But the other side of it is like, are you just trolling people? Like, is that where the world's at today? That our esteemed NASA agency just calls their shit these stupid names that sound like a conspiracy theory? Like, break this for me, Agent Pine. What is going on with this?
Well, I mean, I could keep reading this, but I feel like it's already broken now. It's like they're naming it this. It's like it's like a troll. But I'm going to now hark back to past conversations where we spoke of in Arizona, near Tempe, Arizona. The Catholic Church owns one of the largest telescopes in the world, and it's up on top of a mountain, and it's called the Lucifer. It's what the whole project, the name of the whole project. Like, this one's called Illuminate. Illumate. That one's called Lucifer.
I think it's Illuminati. It's even better. It's Illuminati. They're missing that one letter, just one letter away from nailing it.
Yeah.
But how the hell could the Catholic Church have a telescope named Lucifer? Can you just go ahead and pull it up? Give us the Wikipedia quote.
Have you heard of this before, Matt?
I have heard of it.
We've talked about this, right?
And it's just so, like, I don't get it. How about this? Why are you looking that up? I've looked
Okay,
at the
it's right here.
pictures. All right, I'll sideline whatever I was gonna say. I want to hear this.
Why does the Vatican need a telescope? No, we'll just go. Um, okay, Lucy. It's called Lucy now. Luci. Originally Lucifer, because it was the large binocular telescope near infrared spectro. I don't know, something like that.
Wait, did you say large binocular?
Yeah,
So they literally left the B out of the name Lucifer for the telescope. It's like binocular is one word. Usually an acronym is the first letter of each word in the sentence. Tell me more about this stupid
dude, I'm
fucking
trying.
thing.
But they made it really tough because they're just like, oh, it's the LBT, the large binocular telescope. But previously, because now people are onto this fucking name,
Right,
they're
right.
just
Of course they
changing
are.
it. Yeah, they're just changing everything.
But they still have the note in there, the note that says it used to be called the Lucifer telescope.
100%.
And that's Wikipedia or some other shit.
That was Wikipedia.
Okay, so
It's on
given
Mount
the fact,
Graham. It's on Mount Graham in Tucson, Arizona, altitude of 3,200 meters. The LBT, the large binocular telescope, that's what they're calling it all now. But this was all previously called Lucy, and then previous to Lucy was Lucifer.
Jesus Christ.
And that was owned by the Catholic Church, and they're just scrubbing it off from the internet. They're just making it harder to find.
All right, so
Does the
there's this.
Vatican have a telescope called Lucifer? And it's yes. 100%.
Unless you ask Snopes, they're like, no, but it used to be.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
All right, so I don't know if we talked about it on this show, but we've talked about before, like the people that run this world that cause most of the people that run this world, we suspect that they have beliefs that are spiritual and magical in nature, dark magic kind of stuff. Like we think that these people do rituals to harvest energy to get outcomes. We kind of have talked personally between us before that the manipulation of public narrative, the perspective, how people see the world is done because they believe that thoughts will manifest. So we've had this idea that these people that run shit cause us to manifest thoughts to create the reality we live in. And the step beyond that was they have this weird idea. This is what we've just studied. We have this weird idea that these guys think by showing their hand to the public of what is really going on, how the world's run, it allows them to continue doing what they do because they've passed off the karmic burden to the people and off of them. So the idea being, you name your telescope Lucifer because you're Luciferian. And you gotta, according to your own rules, you gotta let the people know. But then you backtrack and you cover it up and you wash it over.
Fuck them. Fuck them. Here we are. We present this whole thing. It started almost with a little like shout out Stanley Kubrick. I'm gonna say right now, like shout out Stanley and all the this is the tough part because this is where the Luciferians are supposed to be the light bringers, the knowledge bringers. And that can be fine when it's done in the confines of like natural law of man. Like, you can't fucking like, well, I showed them, so hey, because that's all trickery. That's where trickery falls in, where it's not like, well, we showed them we're doing it. Did they know? It's like, well, we showed them we were doing it. It's like card tricks and shit. It's all like a little wraparound. It's an end around.
There's a lot of opinions out there that the people who run the world think you got to play these games. There's people out there who'll say, hey, it's not my belief, but these assholes who are running the world, they believe they need to do dark magic shit. That's an interesting line of thought. That's an interesting avenue of thought, because what if the people who ran this planet actually believed that dark arts were something they need to do to continue running it. You would start to wonder about how this planet was run if you could open your mind to the perspective that the people who run it think that way.
But that's their game. Their game says they have to do this thing because that's their rules.
That's what I mean. Like, we don't have to believe in their bullshit, but if they do and they're running the show, that's some interesting.
Yeah, but that's their Luciferian rules. We don't have to follow them, and it does not absolve them of the karma. That's the problem. Because when you were running a scam on an old lady, and then you get it's like you don't get karma free. You still scam somebody. There's still the karma of the scam you have to deal with. That's what they think.
Yeah. No, people outside of their mindset can see that. I think it's a possibility that the people who run this planet actually do think that shit and do dark magic. And I think they don't get that they're going to have to live that karma.
Yeah, they can keep telling themselves that. And then karma's just kind of laughing on the side going, oh, yeah, keep telling yourself that. Oh, yeah, you just absolved yourself of everything because of your fucking crazy little rules for your crazy little fucking group that you're running over here of some type of weird Babylonian control system of money magic and bullshit. Like, fuck off. Fuck.
You know what?
Karma, I think, says fuck off directly.
Most definitely. So take that for your Halloween episode.
Yeah.
With the They Live and the space station. That last little bit right there, you know what? The people who run this planet might just be bad people. They might be Luciferians, and they might believe in some dark shit.
Oh, so, they do, and fuck them. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna end this right now. We're gonna jump on Patreon, and we're gonna talk about the originator of the Illuminati, Albert Pike. He wrote Morals and Dogma. He also predicted the 3 world wars happening. He also predicted where that 3rd world war would happen. And that's what we're going to talk to right after this. Matt has to change his oxygen tanks. I need to go I need to go choke out a person real quick. And that's that, dude. Fucking.
All right, let's get into it.
Rock on.
Coming up.
Dude, I want to stop it. I'm going to record it to the cloud.